Hello everyone, and welcome back to another race against the bots on iRacing. Today we're tackling a 15-minute Super Formula sprint at Fuji International Speedway. We only managed to qualify P7, so the field is seriously quick. Lights out, and we're underway. I get a hint of wheel spin, but the launch is solid enough. Charging into turn 1, I'm stuck on the outside. The field gets through turn 1 without any incidents, and I'm still running too wide as we charge into the next sequence of corners. Under braking for turn 6, I've got the inside line, and that gives me just enough leverage to make the pass. Heading into turn 10, the cars ahead brake earlier than I expect, forcing me to dive aggressively to the inside. One of them suddenly closes the door, and I have to slam the brakes to avoid contact, but we get away with it and carry on. By the end of lap 1, we're still sitting in P7, but I'm right on the back of the cars ahead as we blast down the main straight. I hit the overtake system and try to pull alongside, but I don't quite have the speed. So I tuck back into the draft just as the engine kisses the rev limiter. I dive to the inside under heavy braking into turn 1, slip past 2 cars, and suddenly we're up to P5. As we reach the end of another lap, I'm pushing hard to close the gap to the cars ahead. The overtake system isn't available this time. It needs 90 seconds to reset, and I'm too far back to get any real draft. Still, under braking into turn 1, I manage to edge a little closer. I have to keep the pressure on, stay in touch, and set up a move on the next lap using the overtake system and whatever drafting I can get. Entering the main straight, I activate the overtake system and pick up a bit of draft from the car ahead. Under braking into turn 1, I send it down the inside, but my opponent carries more speed around the outside and holds on. As we sweep into turn 2, I finally make the move stick, and that puts us up into P4. The 3 leaders were still ahead of us, but the gap was closing. A few strong laps, and we'd be within striking distance. All we had to do was stay focused and push for the podium, or maybe even the win. We were roughly halfway through the race, and we could still see almost the entire field stretched out along the main straight. Everyone was running close. Any mistake at this point could cost us a lot of positions in an instant. These Super Formula cars are an absolute joy to drive, but with no traction control, the throttle demands respect. Get careless for a moment, and you'll be doing a 360 no-scope before you even know what happened. Closing the gap to the cars ahead was taking longer than I expected, but I managed to reel them in a bit after turn 1 as they started fighting for position. Heading into turn 3, one of the cars slowed more than anticipated, and we closed right up. Into turn 6, I sent a dive down the inside, but I didn't quite have the speed. By the time we got there, my opponent had already shut the door. We made light contact, but no damage done, and we carried on. The fight for P3 was on. I ran a bit wide into the marbles at turn 10, but the priority now was staying close enough to the third place car to catch his draft on the main straight. I pick up the draft on the main straight. And as we brake for turn 1, the P3 car sends a move around the outside of P2. I follow him through and slip past as well, taking P3 for ourselves. The end of the race is approaching, and we're still struggling to close the gap to the P2 car. We need to keep pushing, but we also have to remember that P3 is a strong result on its own. It's the final lap. There's still a big gap to P2, but I'm making one last push to close it down. I managed to get right on his gearbox through turn 10, but there's no room to make a move. With no more chances left, we crossed the line in P3. Not a bad result at all. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.